Involvement here in the community in the planning commission's program 20-plus years, and until very recently, you know, when our topics of the zoning stuff came up, there was no one in our meeting. I mean,
Nobody
no one.
cared.
Other than someone with a plan. And if you had a plan, you came to the meeting, if there were questions or clarifications needed, you were there to present it. Other than that, there was no one at the meeting. Times change. I don't know.
Oh, we're coming out of the Stone Age, Jerry?
We should be more involved, it's our town.
All right, where are we at?
Yeah, well, so now I'm still stuck on this motion. Everything when I try to get you to
All
say
right,
it.
so are we going to then set?
Would you like me to read back what I have so
Yes,
far?
what do you think?
Rogers made motion to have a written agenda that provides for public comment with, and then it went, so,
Motion.
I don't think the word "with" needs to be there. I mean, we
no,
said-
it doesn't, because now it's all changed, so Lee needs to restate what he would like me to
I
put
don't
down as
know
his
if I
motion.
can.
Probably should have wrote this down, huh?
I can write all that down. Do you know how long
Yes,
my notes are
you're
already?
exactly right, Mike, I should have written it down.
How soon before a meeting would an agenda be available for a public to?
Well, that's what we said earlier, looking at, you'd have to have it the week before, whether it be Thursday,
At
Friday.
least a
whatever.
week, yes.
If our meeting's Tuesday, the agenda would have to be finished, ready for viewing, whatever, by,
Tuesday before.
well,
What'd you say?
Tammy might have something, but I mean, sometime during the week prior to our meeting.
Sure.
Now, we made the comment, that maybe Friday would be the last day, but, you know,
What if
comment,
she
but
had
comments
a
would
close
be.
of
Do
business
you-
on Friday?
Supervisors, do you think it would be better if the agenda that they want is sent to me as a secretary of planning commission, I type it up and I just send it to Tammy, because then she can not have to be, I mean, she could post it and do review it and post it,
That should
because
be-
then she wouldn't have to, and then we could set it, you know, if we want to say the Tuesday before, then I'll be responsible for having it ready the Tuesday before, and I'll send it to her.
I don't know anybody that doesn't have a computer, why couldn't it just go online?
Yeah, that's what I mean, I have a Fine.
God bless you.
That's how I'll send it to her, by email, or I could just drive it right down here, if she can't receive it.
Mike's got this dazed glazed look over his face too. What are you thinking, Mike?
Well, we need to make the motion to pick the day that the agenda needs to be done. We all agree that the agenda's a good idea, and we're gonna do it.
Okay, well then, are we just first making a motion that we're having an agenda? Rogers made motion of a written agenda that provides for public comment. You want that to be the first motion?
A public
Yes.
review. Review or comment? Because the comment would actually have to come at the meeting.
Okay. Strike that and put review.
Yes. Yes.
Is that good for the first motion, and then we go on?
Yes.
Set then. Okay, who's seconding that?
And then read what you now have.
Rogers made motion to have a written agenda that provides for public review.
All right. You have a second, I'll second.
You notice I moved from Lee to Rogers, I want to.
All right. Now, following your,
Okay,
is there any comment on that?
yes, I have one.
Yes.
If you close that on Tuesday prior to your meeting, and you want that agenda published then, what if a subdivision comes in on Wednesday? Do they have to wait till the following month because it missed the
Kathy,
agenda?
we've already said we want any information, any subdivision or anything we need to review to be in 2 weeks prior to our meeting.
Oh,
So
okay, I
we do
didn't know
have a
that.
chance to
Okay.
look at those. She calls us,
Oh,
tells us
okay.
it's here. We have the opportunity to come down and take a look and go through that, see if we find anything wrong, get that all ironed out
Oh, okay.
before it ever hits here. So when it
Okay, I
does
wasn't
come in
aware
here,
of
we
that.
So actually, to answer your question, but yes, it's
Yeah.
got to wait till the next
Yeah.
month.
Yep.
And if something came down within the week prior to, we're all adults, we can interject it and say, okay, sorry, it's just the way it went. You know, included if it has to be dealt with immediately.
Having some flexibility on
Mhm.
a plan. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially since we're just starting this, because, that's, you know, people aren't used to that, so.
Okay, any further comment? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, you know, when you're writing that motion, having it open for quote, public review is different than public comment.
Well, yeah, but the
Yeah.
agenda, as far as public comment, would take place at the meeting, once we start into the meeting with the agenda.
Yeah, the review would be first, and then the comment at the
We're
meeting.
just talking about the review a week before, to be able to see what it's going to be.
And then your comments would come at each point of the agenda during the meeting. In addition to that, as far as when the agenda needs to be closed, or complete as possible, barring any, emergency type thing. The Tuesday before?
Tuesday.
Oh, wait, we're not done that yet, we gotta finish this motion, because it's not in this motion. We didn't all vote on this.
Okay. Any further comments on just having the agenda? All right. No further comment? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Now, what? The second.
Well, the agenda must be set for the meeting by,
By the Tuesday before, the week before,
Which will be the third Tuesday of the month.
third Tuesday.
so your motion is the agenda shall be set by the third Tuesday of the month.
Starting in January.
Starting in January.
Right.
This will be for don't ask for more.
Not good.
Okay, well, that's the motion. Do you second it? Any comments from our group here tonight? No further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're supposed to look at this.
Yeah, we should read it. Ooh, it says we're gonna have a free, free thing. Okay, so we got this letter, which did you read this, Dave, it was addressed to you, from, Cohen Law Group. They do free legal assessments regarding cable, wireless, and broadband issues, and basically after this long letter, which if you wanna read it, you can. It says, "We are offering to perform a free legal assessment of your cable franchise agreement, wireless ordinance, and/or broadband plan if you contact our law firm by December 31st, 2016. We review the documents and call you to provide a legal assessment. We look forward to hearing from you regarding the special offer and discussing these important issues with you." So if we wanna.
Did you see it or read it?
You're saying what they're asking.
Oh, it's about
Why is this something to do with planning?
He wants to know where this has anything to do with planning.
Because it pertains to ordinances and stuff. And stuff going on in the township.
Well, I've passed those that have been around longer than I have. But I said move on.
It was just sent to me, I'm just forwarding on to you guys.
Do we have a cable agreement? with
Yes.
anybody?
Yes.
There are a lot of residents in this community who are really upset because we can't get any sort of broadband, any sort of cable, any sort of internet, because the current cable franchise agreement was signed, I believe, in 2013, and it's a 15-year agreement, and you have to have 30 houses in a
Within a mile.
mile to get an extension.
We tried to get it to our house.
We tried to get to our house, they went
$77,000.
$77,000 for 0.9 miles of Comcast cable. And I know anybody along Lake Road, there's a lot of people who can't, so if they have be any help to get more people to have access to internet, we need it for school, you need it for work now, it's really hampering our abilities to work.
It actually mentions in there about poor internet being the cause of lack of development.
It really is.
Mhm.
It,
I am.
it, I know people,
Oh, believe
we,
me, I've
Yeah, we paid $500 and $600 a month for internet so I could work, yes.
Providing the information as to what, I mean,
Are the supervisors just looking for us to make a recommendation whether to pursue this, or?
Well, you can let Gary look at it and, see what he thinks.
They've sent letters to every township I represent, and they're looking for work. This isn't totally free.
Well, it just says that the consultation's free.
Right, that's free. Franchise agreements, okay. Yeah, see, this is a little premature because they talk about helping townships rewrite their cell tower ordinances. These wireless communication systems are land uses. Once again, that would be covered in a zoning ordinance, and we don't have anything on that as of yet. So there would be nothing for them to help us with until you identify how these are to work. The other thing, about cell tower ordinances is, do they have eminent domain power? Are they PUC regulated? Because the big thing with townships is the construction of cell towers. Where can they be located? What kind of conditions do you attach to their construction? If you don't approve the construction of the cell tower, do they have eminent domain powers to just say, well, we're going to condemn this property, we're putting this cell tower up, and the only requirement we have is to meet FCC and FAA guidelines. That's one of the things Cohen tries to tighten up in ordinances, is to give townships more control over where they go rather than facing, the bear can sit down anywhere they want to sit under eminent domain laws. The other thing about franchise agreements, you have to have a cable company willing to come in, and sign a franchise agreement. I'm sure you would welcome that, but right now it's just Comcast.
Yes.
Well, my house, you can't get Comcast, it's just Verizon, that's my only.
Verizon.
Well, unless it was satellite.
We can't get Verizon.
That's usually.
Just something to look at.
I mean, I think this, a little premature, but down the road, they may be helpful, because they are considered experts in that field. They've done a lot with cell tower litigation, negotiations. They've looked at agreements to see if townships are getting their fair share of payments. And you can see in the first paragraph, they've had some success in securing retroactive fees from Comcast. Apparently, they weren't paying what they were supposed to pay under the agreement. So, yeah, there are multiple issues involving cell towers.
Well, it also talks about broadband, doing a broadband.
Yeah. So I think you would take this under advisement, at a later date, you might contact them.
Who sent out that letter?
Cohen Law Group.
A law group.
Cohen Law Firm, Dan Cohen, they have offices in Pittsburgh and Seattle, Washington.
Well, why is the law group sending out a letter, a feeler for broadband service? I don't understand that connection.
They supposedly have developed an expertise in that field nationwide. And it is a select area because you have the interrelationship between eminent domain laws, township ordinances, federal aviation laws, federal communication laws. And so they've carved out a niche, and they're representing themselves as experts and offering their services. And they get their foot in the door by saying, well, we'll evaluate what you got going on for free. And, if they're able to point out some things, then a township may
That's
hire
what I
them.
understood that letter to say, that somebody was offering their services, and why would that be a matter of contention?
It's not. Part of their services would be reviewing the cable agreement. The other part would be helping revise or amend the zoning ordinance. We don't have a zoning ordinance on cell towers yet.
Right.
So there's nothing for them to help with.
Well, I don't think there would be a citizen that would balk at having good or better internet service, or in some where it's non-existent, just having it, exist at all. So like, who cares if a cell site went someplace that was in somebody's front yard, if they're happy to have internet?
I'm not sure they can assist in securing better service.
I
That's
see.
not what that letter says.
Okay, all right. Just trying to clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It would be good if we could contact Comcast and get someone here to talk about surveys, maybe contact Verizon. I mean, I think it's a good point to send out feelers to different internet companies that do business and say, can you come in, can you help us out? What's needed? Is it possible to extend cable or booster systems? Can we get grants for that? Just to start that dialogue. It's a good idea, since service is so bad in this area.
As far as the way it's presented, I think, it looks, unless there's obviously, but I think it's something that the supervisors need to keep in possession and look at and, consider sooner or later. I don't think there's a need for the board to make any kind of motion or anything like that. Any comments on that topic? Thoughts? All right. What do we have next on the unwritten agenda?
Since we don't have an unwritten agenda, I guess it can be anything we want it to be. But we have been tasked with the draft zoning ordinance. We have a 58-page document that's already been to Washington once, and we already know how good they do at reviewing things, because we already got kind of a couple things that line up with federal law, need to be changed, we know that. We've had this out now in the committee, but we've had the commissioners have all
Thanks for
had.
pointing that out.
Yeah. Well, you were hunting, that's important. I'd love to go on with you. Anyway, especially in my old stomping ground. But anyhow, we've already looked at this. We've already seen this. Everybody's already read this. Am I correct in saying this needs to move on to public comment?
First, if the if the planning commission members don't have any changes or comment, and basically it would be initially looking at the zoning map. Do you agree with the 4 zones that have been proposed? Do you agree with how they're laid out? And then the next step would be to look at the various schedule of uses that are identified for each zone. Permitted, conditional, not permitted in some. And would you have any recommendations to change the zoning map, to reallocate uses, to add uses? I think that would be the first level
But
of
we've already gone through that process.
And so if you don't have any changes to that,
But we haven't as the planning commission.
We did that to the last meeting. When we had our training session, and Jody brought up we were talking about the 2 things that.
Oh, I didn't bring up my points yet. I didn't know we were
I
all
know,
supposed to get them.
and there's other things that need to be brought up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's take it from this point and kick it out for 90-day review and get all those comments in. And make all those changes at one time.
Third, Jerry.
Rather than taking one comment at a time and making that change and publishing, let's just wait. Send it out for public comment, get them all in here at one time, sit down with those things, go through, review, do what we need to do with them.
Jared,
Yes.
you obviously have something to say, so.
Oh, I was gonna do it when we're actually going to zoning stuff.
Say again?
I said I was gonna do it when we're actually going to zoning stuff. When we do what you
Once-
were just saying.
Yeah, but once this goes out for public comment, get 90-day review, we'll be getting all kinds of information back, and I'm sure, of people, making comment about these things they want to change. We'll have all of that in front of us at one time, rather than picking up one little thing at a time. That's my
Well, the first phase of it was presented, so that the first part of that was so that if any of us on the planning commission had a specific item that we thought should be addressed, changed, correct, whatever. And you've said you're good where we're at. Tony?
What I see so far, yes.
From my understanding,
So, Mike?
jury's still out with me.
Jared?
I have things that I would like to go over.
as in our group.
Well, however we're doing things.
Well, I think the first level of review and comment should be the board members. Then you, after you're done receiving your comment and putting it down, then you open it up at the public meeting, to public comment.
Okay, so we've got through our training session. We had that. Okay. We're at this point now, when do we come back and do
Why?
Well, yeah, but Jerry's
that?
made
Can we do it
clear,
right
Of
now?
the planning commission members, Jerry's the one that has comment.
Okay,
so we have to address that first.
I think you ought to entertain that first.
so we should do that right now.
Are you prepared? For more than another section?
Just trying to save you some time in discussion.
What's that, JD?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Mr. Sweat actually agreed that you already discussed that, said that at the last meeting. That you said the best course action was wait until after the Supreme Court hearing, which was today, is that correct?
The argument was today.
Okay, so that argument is today, then you have the one September 22nd or something in front of Washington?
Judge Fidalski, December 22nd.
Yeah, what I said.
September.
Sorry, December. And I believe y'all took action or made motion and agreed that the best thing to do at the last meeting was wait till after those were done, and then after the reorganization meeting in January. And I think it's probably in the minutes or whatever, that's how I remember it, that's, you already took action or you discussed it and was putting it off till then, till those two things happened and your reorganization meeting, so it would be the following meeting. That's what I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The Supreme Court case is not going to have anything to do with developing a zoning ordinance. The Supreme Court case is going to isolate on some very limited issues governing oil and gas, which is a section of your zoning ordinance. It may take them 4, 5, 6 months to render an opinion. Yeah, I would not recommend delaying all of this for that one Supreme Court case on a very, very isolated zoning issue of oil and gas.
And just as we moved forward before, Keith, when we first took this on, we decided to have the training session to move things on. There's no reason to wait.
Good.
Now, I know that at the training, we were there and Jody brought up issues that things needed rewritten and that, shouldn't that be done first before public comment? I mean, because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, those things.
We need to make a
which-
list at this table of things that need to be done. There are two. One is the sign issue and the other is the group homes.
The group homes and
So
then.
we need to get that rewording
There
to
was
be
one other
consistent
thing
with
too,
the
was
law.
in the group homes and then something.
There was religion.
Something
there
about
was the
religion.
churches.
Religious
Church,
churches,
yes.
I mean, that's what we need to do. We need to make a checklist of things that need to be revised before it goes out to the public.
Yeah, that's
for
what
their
I was-
Yeah.
comment.
Right, that's what I was, it should be
Yeah, I agree.
revised first, and then,
We know 3 items. Jerry Lynn may bring up 4, 5, 6, or 10 more. And so that would be the next step, is we have our checklist, we then get those issues dealt with in word form on the document. And if you're okay with it, then you have your public meeting and release that to the public for their comment.
The revisions or the adjustments or whatever, are we going to like have a motion that this is the wording and then we vote on that, or is it, should we handle it a different route?
Well, if the wording involves legal issues, we're going to have to do a legalese
Right.
based on whatever the
Right,
Supreme
because
Court
it's
case
kind
law
of, we're
says.
kind of saying, well, we're gonna do this, but I'm sitting there thinking, well.
You'll need
that's-
some attention to it.
Yeah.
And then it'll be out for review and comment, see if it addresses the
Coming up
issue.
with proper legal wording seems like it's in your court,
Right.
not ours.
All right, one was the group home wording,
correct, the group home.
the other was signs.
Signage. The third one was the Religious Act because of the not even allowing churches in certain areas.
I'm sorry, not allowed?
Allowing churches. That was Jody's. You'd have to ask Jody.
Okay.
Yeah. I also noticed that prisons weren't in there,
What?
And I don't know if Jody had anything else or not.
which I read a case that a township got, they went to court because they didn't list where a prison could go. I'm not saying that we'll have one, but
Yeah, I don't know
I'm
how
just
that applies to
asking,
us.
do you have to have
Chief,
everything
do you
in
need a
it?
prison? I don't know.
There is a catch-all phrase in here. that
Okay.
If somebody didn't think of it, it gets dumped in the worst zoning district in the township. That's the way zoning consultants cover it. But in terms of prison, they would probably have eminent domain powers. They could go anywhere they want. Like a school, they can go anywhere they want. Can you go over some of your points?
Well, one thing I was just gonna say, when we were talking about that Supreme Court case, though, I thought that could potentially change the zoning map, correct? Isn't that what we talked about? Because the point of the case is to make them only be able to put a gas well in an industrial zone.
Right.
Right.
And we would not be in favor of that.
Right.
I mean, right now, if you look at the zoning map, you can put oil and gas development in 96%
Yeah,
of
but
this
after that, it would
township.
be 2 spots.
Well, but then we have to shrink up and adapt to it. I mean, we'd be very much against that ruling that restricted where you could put them.
Right.
Because if you look under the,
It's kind of absurd to say you can only put oil here when who the hell knows where the gas is, you go where the gas is, not
that
where
would
an
would
industrial
shut the
zone.
industry down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But if you look under oil and gas, it's permitted in all 4 zones as a condition, or all 3 zones. And the only zone that's not in it would be the village, and you couldn't do that anyhow. It's number 39.
So I just want to make sure I have the right copy. 72916 is the one we're using, right?
Yes. That's the one I have.
That's the most current.
72916 version.
Well, one of my first questions was, under the, what's that, adult-oriented establishments, it says, see also Township Code Chapter 5, adult uses. Has that completely been reviewed as, because if that's gonna come out of our ordinances into our zoning, I mean, when was the last time it was reviewed? Because it was written back in the 70s.
Did you bring this on? No. Yeah, I know, it's in the code of regulations. There is an ordinance.
There were a couple different ones that just referred to our ordinance book, and I was just wondering, like, what was the review process then of our ordinances, because they're a little bit old. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, don't use, it's number 1 in here.
It's number 1.
It's number 1 in the ordinance book?
Yeah, well,
Is that
it's
page
chapter
one?
5, but I'm just saying it's the first
Chapter-
one that has its own tab.
Chapter 5, item 1.
This was adopted
Yeah, the
in
whole chapter 5.
1998.
But that's, but Gary, what I'm saying is that chapter 5, number 1,
It's chapter 5, it's completely
the
about
whole
uses.
chapter.
It has its own chapter,
Yeah.
and it's under tab adult uses.
That's what I was
All right, so
wondering.
this since this proposed draft incorporates this
Mhm.
as the regulations for adult uses, this would need to be looked at to see if it needs to be updated.
Right, that's my point, and there's quite a few of those in
That
here.
make reference to the code.
Yeah. So then, that was what I was wondering, is what was the process for reviewing those out of our ordinance books?
Okay.
Or was there any?
All right.
Well, that pretty much covers it, because there's like 5 of them.
What are the other ones?
Oh, I should have underlined them all. Because I was going through it and trying to do it myself, and I'm like, this is ridiculous, I can't read all these.
Oh, you didn't write it down?
No, I didn't, I said I should have underlined them in here, but I was going through it, and I was like, well, there's another one, there's another one, and then I go back and just underline them.
It'd probably be easier just to go online, you can do a find, we can do a find, and just pull up each time there's a reference on the Word document. Online would be easier than trying to just do it
Okay.
by hand there.
We don't know what the
I'm
most.
just trying to find that.
Look for Donegal code
Yeah.
as your Google search.
Yeah, but I don't even know what she's talking about.
No, that's how
No,
you do
when
it.
you, if you
That's-
put
You do it
Donegal
on-
code, anything in
You have
that,
this, your draft ordinance.
come up.
here's your zoning. Okay, pull that out and go to page, what page is it? Just right at the beginning. Page 10, see at the bottom, adult-oriented establishments. And then it says, see also Township Code Chapter 5, adult uses.
Oh, okay.
Well, then that comes out of there and that becomes part of your zoning ordinance. Well, if that's not what we want it to be, then you got a problem. And that's what I'm saying, there's more than one in here that does that, that just says, see the ordinance,
Okay.
see the existing ordinance. And it's like, okay, well, did we review those to make sure that they were old? Because most of them are fairly old. I mean, I don't know if you consider 18 years old or not, but in today's world, I think it is. And
Right, so we're gonna do a word search through here to see how it ties into this code, and then check those ordinances.
okay, because like I said, I saw multiple ones. So then that's what I didn't know, like with that, from being from 1998, then are we going to go through that and say, here's some things that need changed in that ordinance to be a part of it?
Right. No, that's good.
Trying to keep up with Jerry for pages.
There's a telecommunications in here too.
Yeah, there it is. I was gonna put that on earlier,
Mhm.
I was reading too much.
I'm sure that's referenced too. Chapter
Yeah,
117.
I think that is one of them that's in here that says that.
What page on it?
I'm just looking through it now, I gotta write more notes in our notes, meeting notes.
Okay, may I make a suggestion then, that the legal counsel has to kind of like look at all this, correct? Why don't you go through, Jerry, and pull out the issues you're concerned, specific issues, and then present those to council.
Okay.
If they object to that.
Found two already, telecommunications and adult uses.
Because, I mean, we don't want to make light of it, we don't want to miss something that comes back and bites us. So I'm saying, I mean, does anyone see a problem with that, or researching and providing the information then to council? Rather than sit here and kind of rush through